What's up, everybody? Brothers, sisters, psychonauts, and seekers of truth. It is Ananka, and welcome to my bazaar. Today, I have a 1P-LSD chirp report for you. The title of this chirp report is A Profound, Healing, Constructive Trip, and was submitted to Irwood in 2015 by the user Rasputin 1963. With all that being said, let our story begin. First things first, 100 UG taken at T0. Another 100 UG taken 2 hours later on an empty stomach. As others have noted, this stuff is very slow on the come up. 2 hours after my first dose, I still felt no changes at all. Perhaps this is because I am a big guy physically. I don't know. By T plus 5 hours, I was very much into the thick of it. I had read somewhere that, because 1P-LSD mimics one's serotonin molecules, one would have a significantly lesser experience on the substance if one were taking SSRI drugs in one's everyday life. Whoa, I needn't have worried at all. I got the full Monty, the round the world in 8 days with the deluxe ticket. How to describe the sensations? All I can say is, somehow the user is granted access to his fuller set of emotions and thoughts. Freud was right. Our everyday thinking is cluttered with so many defense mechanisms. Here's a discussion online of these. We humans will do anything to hide from the truth of ourselves. The only problem with this is, it is our lies and obfuscations that make life a real fucking drag. In other words, the brilliant naked truth of the now is truly where it's at. I'm not a Christian, but the New Testament has Jesus saying, "Let the dead bury the dead." And now I see what he meant. Each of us owes it to ourselves to pursue truth and harmony and goodness. And there is a whole lot of fucking bullshit that we don't really want to turn our attention to. Apostle Paul also tells us to think about the good shit, not the fucked up stuff. But in this 1P-LSD frame of mind, a lot of the obfuscations that clutter our daily thinking are dissolved. And, for once, we get to see the greater picture of who we are and our role in the cosmos. To me, the metaphor felt like entering a huge, ornate golden temple, in which you are free to study everything in the architecture, from the basement of the building to its achingly beautiful jewel-studded concaved ceilings. I became very aware that, wherever you find yourself in life, you got yourself there because of your daily habits of thought, word, and deed. This 1P-LSD test felt rather like the ancient Egyptian idea that your soul would be tested against the weight of a feather. In short, being a good person is important. As naive and Pollyanna-ish as that sounds in today's complex world, Buddha was right. You want to think correct thoughts, perform correct deeds, because each of us stands on a flimsy tendril of grace versus blame. Interestingly, even on 200 mics, my external world did never dissolve or dramatically mutate. However, my artist's eye became electrically acute to shades of color and infinitesimal nuances of balance. I never felt that 1P was showing me anything that wasn't there all the time. So, in short, if I did see open-eye visuals, they were simply my brain showing me all manner of cascading harmonies of sacred geometry. that are with us at all times, if we but sensitize ourselves to them. Closed-eye visuals? Yes. Vast panoramas of interlinking cells in pulsing red, orange, and yellow. Endless arabesques of mathematical relationships. There was no body load to speak of on 1P-LSD. No nausea or unpleasantness. Just a sense, maybe of frazzled nerves and fatigue after about 11 hours of tripping. 1P-LSD was a very emotional experience. Intense for a guy like myself who considers himself something of a tough guy and an egghead. I had my moments, thank God nobody saw me, of simultaneously laughing and crying with extreme intensity. The very things in life that are pathetic are staggeringly hilarious, and vice versa, and for the same reasons. The crying had to do with becoming aware of how all creatures hurt and suffer at times. And the laughing is all about my instinctive knowledge that God is always there with infinite forgiveness. So 1 minute, I'd find myself crying with shame and pathos. Then the very next moment, finding it all uproaringly, staggeringly, cosmically funny. Because I knew that God always loves me and forgives me. Only trippers know this feeling, I think, of simultaneously laughing and crying at the same thing for the same reasons. I also found myself thinking much about women. Women in general, and the women in particular in my life. I found myself deeply touched at the humbleness and selfless love that the women in my life have given me. I even decided to tell a few women how I felt online. Oh, thank you for loving me. They took it very well, I must say. One girl replied, "Well, all I did was love you." And I wrote back, "I know, and I can't believe you did." I began to see the Catholic representations of the Madonna and the Virgin de Guadalupe, etc., and I realized they symbolized the vast humility, sacrifice, and tenderness that women bring to each of our lives. I had the feeling of, honestly, I don't know how women put up with us men at all. As Ram Dass has described, you find yourself stepping into all the characters you have ever played in your life, and you begin to see Shakespeare was right. All the world is a stage, and each of us simply plays a different character. In fact, in this heightened state, I began to perceive many different planes, like a glassy millefeuille of amber panes, between my real reality and the myriad of fictions I have entertained. In books, movies, and theater, you start to ask yourself things like, well, I was a real boy once. Was Huckleberry Finn a real boy too? And the answer is yes. Our lives are the sum total of not only our real external events, but also of our imagined events, as with plays and fiction. Pablo Picasso once said, "Anything you can think of is real." And he's right. On 1P-LSD, I often found myself vastly thirsty, especially for vitamin C. So I downed 2 of those emergency drinks, and indeed felt much better thereafter. I did some art in Photoshop whilst at the peak of the trip. I had hoped 1P-LSD would give me some insight into art and the artistic process. I was not disappointed. I produced 3 artworks that I am extremely proud of. The images are me, but a me infinitely refined in discrimination and taste. The pieces basically created themselves, and I was just the monkey delivery boy who made them happen in Photoshop. I had a ringing perception of truth at this moment, and it was this. All artists in all mediums, including music, dance, poetry, painting, sculpture, architecture, have the same task. They are trying to discern sacred geometry. Period. Read that sentence again if you must. Every artistic experiment, it became clear to me, was about trying to tune into sacred frequencies of light and sound that redound and spangle and pulsate and shimmer and vibrate and concatenate. Whether you are Kandinsky or a 4-year-old child or a cave dweller, whether you are Leonard Bernstein or a Cajun fiddler, you are trying to tune into sacred harmonies. If an artist has a muse at all, it is his inner sense of what perfection can be or could be. And that perfection lies in the infinite, exquisite, whisper-delicate harmonies of mathematical relationships. In short, the 1P-LSD trip was amazing and extremely rewarding. Never once did I feel myself sinking into a psychological hell, as I once did on LSD in the 1980s. It's 24 hours later now, and while I'm totally functional now, I am still basking in a certain colorful, harmonious glow. All right, everyone. That is the end of our story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Share with us your 1P-LSD experiences down in the comments below. Check out the other videos and playlists on my channel, and I will see you in the next one, fam. Deuces.